you have a 2,000 square foot house, you can multiply it by 213, and that's what your paint bid's going to be. It's not going to be higher or lower ever. It's going to be that price. My hope and what we hear, especially in the institutional side of the business, is some rate relief, and that rate relief is going to really increase buyer appetite from a stewardship standpoint. So say you guys went on a tear, bought 15 homes this month, like trying to staff up for that is really hard. And then you don't buy homes for the next 3 months. What to try to maintain staff for that is just not good stewardship. Go expand, go on a volume tear, go on, a buying spree without having to worry about hiring new employees. The game changer on getting an accurate scope of work is knowing what the
Listen, I just interviewed Bobby Triplett of Offer Pad. They flip hundreds of houses a month, and he's going to talk about his construction procedure and how he easily flips 300 or more houses per month and how he deals with all of that. If you're looking to get into other markets, not only will you be able to learn about the construction, but there's also ways for you to take your wholesale deals and have him renovate them and potentially double or triple your profits. This is a good one, so I hope you enjoy it. All right, Bobby, so you guys are renovating average of over 300 houses a month. So I guess high level, can you tell me how you manage those? Because there are some people that don't even know how to, or haven't had success flipping one house because it's very difficult to manage contractors. So kind of give us a high level overview on how you're able to manage that many projects.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to the people and the process we put in place. Offerpad's a little over 9.5 years old, and I've here 9.5 years. And so we created a team and a culture with each market we expanded to. And the way in which, or the methodology and the perspective that we take definitely gives us our ability to do that. So first off, I have incredible renovation directors that cover our markets. And then they have long-standing and long-tenured project managers that have been with us for a long time. And in doing that, I think this year we surpassed 43,000 flips that we've got under our belt in the last 9+ years. And the relationships we've made with the trades really has bought me loyalty. So they've understood they've got to make money and I've got to save money, and we've got to do it both. And if we can do it without being a jerk to each other and have communication up front, that buys me a lot of leverage in each market that we go to. And what's cool about that is we take that culture, we take that ethos, if you will, and we take homes like your homes or your students' homes or people in private real estate investing. We take their home, we put it into that machine, and they get to reap the benefit of it. But long story short, great people and accountability on the ground is the only way that this happens.
So about half of those, I think you said you flip yourself, and then the other half you do for other investors. So with your buy box, I know back in the day, and I say back in the day, 2 or 3 years ago,
Sure.
A lot of the iBuyers like yourself were paying, top dollar. And I was just kind of wondering how you guys did that. I mean, is it, I'm guessing it's a volume game. Maybe you were betting on appreciation. Kind of tell us how you were able to buy so many properties and buy them for higher than most of us investors are usually able to buy them for.
Yeah, we were under the banner of high volume, low margin. And so the properties that we would acquire, first and foremost, like we're going to do value add, right? Hey, and some of them might have been paint, carpet, appliances, and that's all we needed to make it value add. And then some of them were significantly deeper dives on the renovation, taking it out of old cat lady era, or super, Brady Bunch era and making it modern and relevant. We approached this as no two properties were alike, so it wasn't a burgers, fries, and shake approach. But we knew we had high volume, low margin, and the thing that my team could control that would manufacture either a winning ROI or help us get out of a losing ROI was speed. So we made the vow that we were going to do it faster than anybody else and created quite a reputation over the last decade being able to do that, a quality renovation at a predictable time frame. And that helped our acquisition team, honestly, be able to underwrite with more confidence.
Yeah, and speed is a big deal. In fourth quarter, we had a lot of flips going, and typically we can get it in and out of a deal in about 60 days, sometimes 30 to 45. But we found that we were going over time, 90 days, 120 days,
Sure.
Sometimes even 140, 150 days. So you save a lot of money that way too. So speed is a big deal. And then how are you able to be competitive? So we are the GC for our project. So my project manager is on boots on the ground, and she's hiring all of the subs. And we find that we control that a little bit better. as opposed to hiring one person to manage the whole thing. And
Sure.
we can get better pricing for the most part. How does your pricing compare to someone like us that's already doing the GC work compared to you doing the GC work?
It depends on the market, but most times, like same thing. We have a renovation director, and he or she has multiple project managers that are hired geographically that are with them. All of them are W-2. In certain markets, we have W-2 hammer swingers that are able to help us move quick on certain items. The biggest part, I think, volume is the X factor in all of this. If I'm paying what I would call wholesale, maybe slightly above wholesale cost on the renovations themselves. And then because we have negotiated pricing on almost every trade that we do, we're not waiting for, if we talk about time is money, I'm not waiting for an HVAC guy to go back out and get me it. I already know how much it's going to cost me to put a new unit in this house. I'm not necessarily waiting for a painter to give me a bid because I already know how much it's going to cost me per square foot to paint this. Same thing on flooring. So we're able to get the ball rolling faster. And then because our PMs are actively GCing each project, it's amazing what that boots on the ground accountability can do to the success of the project. For instance, I will have clients all the time. Hey, I got a buddy from church that's going to give me a deal on the paint on this one. That's great. And he might give it to you one time, but now you got to manage him. And if he's giving you a deal, he's probably fitting it in his schedule. He can't be there for 3 weeks, and then he gets sick and he forgot about a cruise he had to take. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden your project, like those dominoes are just getting log jammed, and the rest of the project either stalls out or you find yourself sometimes spending money twice chasing your tail. So we made the decision as part of our culture is like, hey, we're going to pre-negotiate a fair price, and then we're going to hold our people accountable. And if that person can't meet that deadline, boom, it's next man up immediately. So we're not waiting for this guy to come back from his vacation, because that would drastically cause the project to get sideways fast.
Want to get motivated sellers that nobody knows about? Introducing 10x TV. If you want to create credibility in your market, find deals that nobody else knows about, and crush your competition, you need to check into TV commercials. It is the new buzz in the real estate investing industry since we introduced it several years ago. I've been using TV commercials myself for the last 12 years, and it's absolutely crushed it. So if you want to learn how to get on TV and to do something that little to no people are doing right now, go to claimmymarket.com. Again, that's claimmymarket.com. We usually only work with 2 investors per market, so if you're interested, reach out to us and book a call to see if you can claim your market before anybody else does. Now back to the show. Yeah, so that's interesting because, for us, typically we have projects bid out. So not every project's the same. Obviously, sure. You can, just for square footage. So we'll get our painters out, get 2 or 3 paint bids. We get roofers out, that kind of thing. So what you're saying is you actually have a fixed price where your people go in and say, right, I'm going to pay $3,000 for paint. I'm going to pay $4,000 for HVAC. I'm going to pay certain amount for certain things. And
Sure.
That way it's already set. So that way when they come in, instead of waiting, 3, 5, 7 days for them to get a bid back,
right,
it's pretty much just a yes or no at that point.
Yeah. For instance, like we work with the Mohawk as our flooring provider, right? I work directly with the manufacturer to negotiate rates for our product. And then we have it market-based negotiations for what the labor to install it. Same thing with PPG paints. So I know, like in Tampa, for instance, where I'm from, we charge our clients $2.13 a square foot to do interior paint, right? That's walls, trim, ceiling, doors, labor, material, margin, and taxes, all included in that $2.13. So when you have a 2,000 square foot house, you can multiply by 213, and that's what your paint bid's going to be. It's not going to be higher or lower ever. It's going to be that price. So that helps you really inform your underwrite, but it helps my project managers not chasing your tail. Because what we learned the hard way is I might have a painter that really wants to get my business. So they're going to, hook me on a really cheap paint deal this time. Well, the next time that I get a bid from it, he's going to have to make up what he lost on the first one. So, all right, well, I got to add X, Y, and Z and, try to beef it up. And now all of a sudden there's like the bullseye keeps changing because there's not consistency. And because of our volume, we were able to go to our trades and say, hey, listen, if you agree to do this paint at this price and you do it at a good job, I will just keep you busy. And it's enough. And in doing that, unfortunately, volume is the only thing that really speaks loudly in that, or it carries any weight. And that's what's been really able to help us dictate pricing.
Yeah, we just had two properties we put under contract yesterday, and I'm just kind of looking at the cost per square foot for paint, and I'm just seeing if there's any correlation here. So it looks like, I'm not sure if this is interior, exterior, but it's a 17 square foot house. 8,000 was the paint. So I'm guessing that's inside and out. So that's probably pretty close to what you're referencing. $2 inside. And then what's the outside? Do you have a price for the outside paint?
We do. I don't have that one memorized off the top of my head for the markets. You know what I mean? But it's $2.13 on the exterior. It's probably $1.95 or $1.75 on the exterior or something like that.
Okay.
It's a little bit less because you're not nearly as much cutting in. You know what I mean? So
Right, right. Okay, cool. So you're in different markets. What determines what market you're going to go into? Obviously there's different, markets provide different benefits, but then also different
sure.
drawbacks. How do you decide which market you're wanting to go into, whether it's for you buying or for renovating for your clients?
Yeah, a lot of it had to do with what I could call guaranteed volume. Offerpad still buys hundreds of homes every month, and we still renovate our own homes. So those are existing markets that we're already in. 2 years ago, we had a client of ours that we really dug out of a bad situation. We were doing, I don't know, 200 homes a month for them, like heavy turns and light reno, and they're begging us to get into Minneapolis. Well, Offerpad was not in Minneapolis at that time, and because of a guaranteed volume, hey, I can get you 10 to 15 if you'll please just do what you're doing up there down here. It took us some time, to go create trade relationships, get licenses, the whole 9 yards. And then we decided it was going to be a viable market. So we went in and did it. And once that was open for that one client and we got our boots underneath us, then we were able to turn it on to 3 or 4 other clients that we knew had space up there. For us this year, the easy yeses are, hey, it's 30 minutes outside of our coverage area. Can you help me? You know what I mean? Like we have we're in Tampa. We handle all the way down past Sarasota, up like Pasco County and a little bit north of the Florida area. And we had clients recently, would you please consider helping me? I've got a big project in Fort Myers. I know it's about 45 minutes out. Those are easier, good yeses for us to say. We're in Nashville, and I've had clients beg me to go to Memphis. Well, that's a completely different world. 3 hours away, completely different types of contractors, completely different types of regulatory permitting issues. And so that's a bad yes for me to say. We've explored maybe it's just a not now. There has to be a whole lot more relationship building, recruiting, 90 to 120 days of infrastructure planning to be able to say yes to that. And I guess it depends on what our need is. I'll tell you, so a couple of years ago, Kansas City, Missouri was a great market for us. We stopped buying in Kansas City about 2 years ago. And so we turned off our renovation services there. But we still have crews, we still have great relationships. But we're in St. Louis, and that's a 4-hour trip. Recently had a couple clients that say, if I guarantee you 2 or 3 a month, will you consider going to Kansas City? And, we've started having the conversations in the relationship. And so we're able to say yes again. Hey, we can help you out there. I guess it depends on this, Tony. Like, I would hate to give a bad yes to make somebody feel better. I'd rather give a good no. You know what I mean? And say, hey, or a good not yet. Because at the end of the day, we're never going to be perfect. And then we're going on 4 years of renovating for people other than ourselves. Thank God there's only been less than a dozen escalations or projects out of the 4,000 that we've done that have gone sideways, and we've had to figure out, a workaround or a fix. I'm so grateful that it's minimal, but when it does, we want to operate in a way where those are the smallest percentage possible. And when we start talking about expanding, we do open up our reputation to more risk that way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So tell us about your margins. So you said, higher volume, lower margins. So Wichita, Kansas, we just put a property under contract. It's going to be 150,000 ARV, which is a little bit on the low end right now for Wichita. You used to be pretty average.
Sure.
But COVID kind of, put the prices
Sure.
up just like all the other places. And that deal, normally we would have probably been like 20 to 25,000 on the profit on the projections, but we're now having to buy them where we project closer to 15. Luckily, our team is pretty conservative, so we might be able to squeeze 20 to 25 out of that still if everything goes right. Um, what kind of margins, if you don't mind disclosing, are you able to do on your deals based on having to buy volume? And I imagine that there's a little bit of pressure on keeping money moving, keeping your crews busy and things of that nature. So if you don't mind touching on that a little bit, if you're able to disclose that.
Are you asking about the Offerpad owned homes?
Yeah, exactly. The margins on your houses.
Yeah, the guidance that we've shared, as a publicly traded company, so I have to make sure that what I'm sharing is in line with the guidance that we just put out there. In years past, like I would say it's not necessarily a dollar figure amount that we're trying to make on each. It's more like a percentage. You know what I mean? Our sweet spot is, between 5 and 9%, that we can make. Like that's what we're looking to make on that, which is sometimes significantly less than what the private investor is doing. I will say that typically the home that we're going after has less of a haircut than what the larger spreads you can make on as a private investor. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And are you keeping any of those properties or are you flipping them all?
We don't keep any. The goal is we buy, renovate, and then resell. We do have like some larger institutional partners that we help source for on an acquisition side still. Obviously, that's significantly less during this current historical real estate time period. But that's something that is also a part of it. Yeah, we are not built to be a buy. We're not a SFR, a single family rental.
Gotcha. Now, moving into 2026, 2020 to 25 was kind of a pretty good run, right, for
Sure.
appreciation. Last year, I think it slowed down in a lot of markets. What are you seeing in 2026? Like, what conversations are you having with your team to kind of plan for 2026? Do you feel like we're going to flatten? Do you feel like there's going to be a little decline? Do you feel like we're still going to appreciate? Do you have any idea what you feel like 2026 is going to offer?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's just speculation. I wish I had the crystal ball. Like my hope and what we hear especially in the institutional side of the business, is some rate relief, and that rate relief is going to really increase buyer appetite. Where you think about the last 2 years, there was not, how do I say this? There was not recreational house trading where, hey, you need another bedroom or your wife wants a bigger backyard, so let's just go sell our house and get that one. Especially if you had a 2.5% note, you're going to maybe consider just sucking it up for a little bit or renovating your current house to get what you need. I think when the rates get down with a consistent 5 in the front of it, you'll see people saying like, okay, now it feels worth it for me to go get that extra second bedroom or to get that extra quarter of an acre of a lot or whatever it might be. Uh, I and I still think, though there is inventory in each one of the markets right now, that's a limited inventory to a very hungry buyer set that's out there. Does that make sense? But everyone's just been on a diet, basically, just waiting for the rates to drop. And we've been hopeful that was going to happen in 2025, and we saw some relief towards the end of the year, minimal. The stuff that we're hearing in the news and the whispers throughout all the different parts of the industry is that like by May, June, there'll be some significant relief. I don't think we're going to see twos again. I don't think we're even going to see threes or fours again. But I think something in the mid fives feels hopeful.
So that's another conversation. So you think we'll get into the fives? Because I think right now we're what? I think it went down to the low sixes from what I remember, and
Yeah,
we don't deal with a lot of traditional buyers, so
sure.
I don't follow it as much. But from what I understand, it went up a little bit based on the rates we're getting on our refinances. So you feel like we're still going to see some rate relief
I
here?
do like that. That's the hope. That's the buzz. I don't think we'll see it till into Q2. You know what I mean? Maybe beginning of Q3, but that's the anticipation.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else you're planning for, whether it's 2026 or beyond? Are you guys pretty much just kind of staying status quo with the markets that you have? Are you adding markets? Are you getting aggressive with anything else or any
Yeah,
other plans in the future?
that's the consideration. Like as a leader, like I'm balancing like, you know, how do we continue to grow our renovation as a service business? We just call it Offerpad Renovate. And the quote unquote easy way is we'll open more markets. Well, that is definitely not the easy way, and that's not the most cost effective way. And what's been interesting is we've had so many satisfied renovation partners, clients that are like, man, if you would just go here, we could guarantee this. And so my leadership team and we're constantly weighing out those pros and cons. For me, like, the name of my game is how do we continue to be the renovation solution that you as an investor can confidently count on. And so we're trying to grow in our customer service. We're trying to grow in our data. We're trying to grow in our, the way in which we strategically partner. So from that side, there's exponential growth that we're working on as a team. From the market expansion side, for me, honestly, like there's a couple shortlist markets, but they probably wouldn't be till Q3 of this year.
So I'm looking at the map here of the markets that you're in. If someone is in a market that you are currently in, is there a certain amount of deals that you want that one client to
Nope.
give you? Or if someone has a one-off deal, you're just
Yeah.
able to throw
No,
it in the mix?
that's one of the beautiful things because you think about this, like we're staffed to renovate our own homes there, and then I'm just leveraging our capacity to renovate your homes. So you get an institutional. I tell people it's like when the sports car you want to rent, you know what I mean, but you don't want to own. So I have some clients that give me 2 to 3 deals a year, and I have a client that gives me 120 deals a month. You know what I mean, and I have everywhere in between. And what's beautiful about that from a stewardship standpoint. So say you guys went on a tear, bought 15 homes this month, like trying to staff up for that is really hard. And then you don't buy homes for the next 3 months. What to try to maintain staff for that is just not good stewardship. And
Yep.
when you take like the people aspect into their families, their livelihood, the whole 9 yards, like it's hard to be able to predict. So for where we offer is, hey, go expand, go on a volume tear, go on, a buying spree without having to worry about hiring new employees. Because, hey, if this month we do 7 for you, but then we don't do anything for you the whole next quarter, that's okay. We're still here. And because our client volume is diversified, not all the pressure is on you, Tony. You know what I mean? And it's not all on Offerpad either. Like we're able to help so many folks. And I think that's been one of the coolest, unexpected parts of doing this as a service. The amount of, I don't know, influence we're able to have on our clients in ways that they couldn't have had it before, because it's expensive. Millions of dollars of salaries that I employ just on the renovation side across 15 states. And you get to take advantage of that without having to have that overhead. So I like that, and it really moves the needle.
Yeah, no, I like that. So a question for me, if
Sure,
I were to go into one of these markets that you're in, is there a market that you feel like number one, you're really dialed in, like you're just like
sure,
this market is just like, maybe easier because the contractors are easier or the regulations or whatever it is. So
sure.
number one, and number two, where it's easier to find deals, are there any markets there that you would recommend someone like myself going in and just, throwing in TV, trying to, going ahead and getting leads and trying to lock up deals and put under contract? Yeah, are there any markets that you think would be really good for that?
Yeah, I've got a handful that I mean, all of my teams are really high performers. Atlanta for me in the greater Atlanta metro, not like Atlanta proper, but about an hour and 20 around the dial, is my largest team. We do between 60 and 85 flips a month there just in Atlanta. Florida is another great spot. Like as long as you're not buying on the coasts right now, like if you like just because of some of the just all the hurricane and insurance impacts
Mhm.
there. Um, and then for me, like I've got so much capacity with an incredibly dialed team in like Las Vegas in the Phoenix area. Both of those markets, I could probably take an additional 15 to 20 houses in each one of those months in markets today. I've got capacity there. I would say the sleeper of all the markets that has been incredible for me, though it does have some permitting pains in the butts, is Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Twin Cities up there. We've got a small team, but it's a great team. And then like the Denver market, though that might be a higher cost of acquisition there. There's a lot of desire to live in Denver. There's a lot of dated properties that need, renovated or flipped. And as long as you're buying them median or below, I really think there's a huge opportunity in that market.
And are you buying in all of these markets you're flipping in, or they're just like, is there a smaller set of cities that you're buying in as
Right.
opposed to a bigger pool that you're flipping for other people?
Correct. Yeah. We're not buying in every single one of the markets that we're in. We did at one time, at one time we were almost in 30 markets in
Yeah.
20 states. Like Minneapolis, we don't acquire any homes in Minneapolis. We opened that market up just to renovate on behalf of clients. St. Louis is another one. We haven't bought in St. Louis in about a year and a half, but we renovate a ton of homes in St. Louis for other clients. Some of that has to do with some of the municipality regulations. Some of it has to do with, hey, they're better rental markets versus flipping markets, you know what I mean, type of things. And some of it just has to do with, hey, we'd rather go crush a Charlotte and a Raleigh because they performed for us, and we have, bigger teams there. So we're just doubling down on the Charlotte and the Raleighs, or the Houston Texases, or the San Antonios, or the Orlandos type of places in the country.
So going back to that kind of similar question, if someone, because I have clients also that are like, I want to open up multiple markets, and most of the time it's for wholesaling. But hey, if there's a deal that comes across where it's like they can rehab it and make twice as much money, it could make sense taking down and
Sure.
rehabbing. But they're not in that market. So let's say someone wanted to go in one of these markets and they wanted to make sure their numbers were right. So let's say we did do something in Minneapolis and we wanted to start buying there, and we started putting things under contract. Are you able to send your project manager in there as we're under
Yeah.
contract and just kind of give
Yep.
numbers and say, hey, you estimated 50,000, you're spot on, or you need more, or
Yeah.
whatever it might
And
be?
that's what we do, honestly. So once the house is under contract, if you've become a client, and hey, there's no membership, we're not a mastermind, we're not a coaching network, we are a renovation partner. So once the house is under contract, we ask for the address, we ask for access information like the lockbox or the smart key code. And then the biggest thing, Tony, and like whether you renovate for me with me or not, tell everybody the game changer on getting an accurate scope of work is knowing what the win is going to look like on that house, right? And I don't just mean comp level. Hey, is it a rental? Is it a flip? Is it a wholesale? Is this an Airbnb? We're going to approach that scope completely different compared on those type of things. So if you can give me some lines to color in, hey, this is a wholesale, we're just going to remove the dead body, spray Febreze, and mow the lawn. Hey, I don't want to waste your time or my time writing a scope that's 12 pages long for a full gut that you're not going to do. Or vice versa. Hey, we just want to do a light cosmetic, paint, carpet, appliances, and a few handyman thing. Great. Give me those lines to color in. That W-2 project manager is going to go out to the property, take 100 pictures. But the difference is we're not just going to put blinders on. Hey, he said only paint, carpet, appliances. I see this uninsurable electric panel right here. I'm not going to look at it. Now, that's the dumbest thing. We want to say, hey, here's what you asked for. I need you to know these 3 things are uninsurable, or hey, this is life safety, or hey, you said you wanted this roof replaced, but I don't think the roof needs replaced. Like, save your money. And we've helped people, unfortunately for us, but walk away from bad deals, right? I would have rather have sold them on it so that I could move the revenue and keep my teams busy, but that's bad business. That's bad partnership. And then we've helped people too, like realize, hey, you might need to put a little bit more money in this because here's what's going to come up on a buyer's inspection. Or here's what's going to come up on somebody trying to get their insurance on this house. And because we've got a decade's worth of doing this, we want you to learn from our mistakes so you don't have to make them. And then the idea is once we get that scope of work, I'm not a believer in lump sums. So you'll never see something from me that says new kitchen, 10 grand. Well, what the heck does that mean? That means something completely different to everybody. So we like to be ridiculously specific and go room by room by room, line on by line on by line on, unit price, unit cost. So you'll see, one, from a transparency, and 2, from an accountability side, like what you're getting for your money. And then we have a conversation as soon as the scope's submitted. Usually 3 to 4 business days it takes us to get a scope into you or your people.
I wish I would have known you 2 or 3 years ago. I lent money to someone in Indianapolis and I actually signed on the loan, which was a big mistake. I don't do that anymore. And I ended up taking the property back and I had to put so much extra money into the deal and,
Um,
contractor issues and all kinds of stuff. So I could just see how valuable it would be if someone already had crews, already had teams, and you were able to just go in there and dial it in.
sure,
I'm just kind of thinking to myself, and we'll probably talk about this offline on, ourself. Like I'm very interested, and we talked about this months ago, but it just, brought up the conversation again of us maybe going in and running TV commercials in certain markets. And I might even choose markets we already have clients that are in there and maybe
sure.
maybe even partner with them where we run commercials alongside them and they're able to also be some boots on the ground because that was the biggest thing in like Indianapolis, and I had to do that with in San Antonio. Actually, you're in San Antonio too. That would have been one that would have been nice too. We lost a lot of money on properties where we just didn't have crews in
Sure.
locations. We had to foreclose on properties because we were lending money in different areas. Um, so yeah, just lots of ideas of how we could use your services to scale our business. And I imagine that there are some wholesalers out there that are in these markets that they may only make $10,000 on a wholesale deal, but if you could go in and renovate them,
Right.
they might make 30, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden their profits just skyrocket because of that.
And that's been interesting. Probably I hear that conversation 10 times a day from wholesalers like, man, our there's not as much of a spread on a wholesale that anymore right now for in certain markets. So they're like, it would behoove us to take them down, but we don't have anybody there. And like my commitment is, we'll be the solution. It won't be perfect because if renovation was easy, I wouldn't have a job. You know what I mean? But we're going to help you figure out how to make the best real estate decision on that property. Walk you through. The best part is because we're so fast, unless it's a certain market that's got a lot of municipality, or unless you bought a code violation or a red tag that we have to jump through a bunch of hoops for, um, we're predictable, we're consistent. We tell everybody, you know, um, for every $1,000 in approved spend, I've got basically a day to get it done. We just finished our first project for a guy who typically did new builds and wholesaling in the Charlotte market, and he took down his first flip. We'll be done 2.5 weeks early. He didn't have to walk the project until I walked it with him last week in Charlotte. And he's like, this was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. Why am I not doing this more? You know what I mean? And his spread on that like almost tripled what it would have been if he had just wholesaled it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's exciting to me. You know what I mean? To be that solution he can now have confidence in.
So what you're saying, if it's a $30,000 budget, you're 30 days or less typically. If it's a $50,000 budget, 50 days
Correct.
or less, so on and so forth.
Yeah. The only caveat is like, and if you're in certain markets like a St. Louis or a Minneapolis that are heavy municipality involvement, right? That could potentially get extended by a couple weeks here and there just because the amount of inspections they require. Or if it's a house that's, hey, we know it's got a code violation, we know it's got a red tag, can you come help us? That answer is yes. It's not going to be within the same time period, depending on what hoops we have to jump through for the existing violations.
Awesome. Cool. I'm going to see if my video editor can pull up the map of where you're located. So for those people that are watching, they can see where you're at. I mean, Fort Collins, Denver, Colorado Springs, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Dallas, Austin. How many markets did you say? 20 some markets here?
20, yeah. And for instance, I'll say our Tampa market, that also includes St. Petersburg, that also includes Sarasota, but
Hmm.
we call it Tampa. Or same thing with Orlando. It also includes Daytona Beach. You know what I mean? It includes Port St. Lucie, some other like tertiary markets on there. So there's quite a few there.
Okay, awesome, cool. If anybody wants to get a hold of you to look at them renovating your properties, where would
Yeah.
they go to find you?
You can go to offerpad.com/renovate or renovate@offerpad.com. Shoot us an email. Our team will schedule 30 minutes with you so we can, one, see if we're the right solution for you, and then go over all the ins and outs of how that works to become a client. And then, we even work with some amazing hard money lenders that, I mean, are ecstatic to work alongside of us. So if you don't even have, financing available, like we can make connections. We're happy to do this. We want to be a partner no matter what. And I would just say, like, if you give us the shot to show you what kind of partner we are, we'll make you proud.
Cool. That was actually the next thing I was going to ask is, if someone goes into another market, I think one of the reasons wholesalers don't like to renovate, one is they want quick cash, but two is
Sure.
just tying up money. What kind of money lenders or what hard money lenders do you recommend the most?
Yeah, I mean, one of the ones that we probably have the biggest relationship right now is one called Turnus. Not sure if you're familiar with them. They're out
Yeah,
of
I know,
Charlotte.
I know Tim. Yep.
Yeah, Tim has been an awesome partner. What's been interesting, and I didn't even think about this when I got into doing this as a service, the amount of risk mitigation we offer to a lender. One, as a publicly traded company, I'm not running off with your deposit. Two, a track record and a data set of a decade to show you how consistent we are. And three, a reputation where we are desperate to uphold. Man, he knows that if he lends to a new borrower, but they're using us, his risk is significantly less as a lender. And so a lot of his newer borrowers, he says, hey, I'll make special exceptions if you use Offerpad Renovate, which has
Nice.
been really cool. Like that was, there's a handful of others that have come to us recently. There's Cap One Lending out of Kansas City, Arch West Funding. I just met with the Kiavi folks recently, just, them understanding like how much that helps their potential business. But Turnus, Tim has been an incredible partner. Like I can't say enough great things about what they're doing there. And it's just been honestly just an organic relationship where we've been able to help some of his borrowers. And so like, man, let's figure out a way to do more of that.
Awesome. Good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate the time, Bobby. Congrats on the growth of the company and being able to do hundreds
Yeah.
of flips a month as opposed to, I mean, if I hear someone doing 100 flips in a year, that's pretty impressive, let alone hundreds in a month. So reach out to Bobby if you guys are in any of these markets and want to use their services to renovate. And I'll definitely hook you up with some of our clients that are in these markets and see if they can take some of their wholesale deals and turn them into
Yeah.
flip deals and make more money. So,
Rock and roll, man. Well, Tony, thanks for having me, man. It's an honor to be here, brother.
all right. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Talk to you soon. See you, bud.
Thanks.